waking up in the middle of the night with a panic attack because your web server's gone down, you know, husband thinking you're a complete nutcase. So this is how I was living for years. It's frightening, just years. and then at some point, it just all came and hit me like out of nowhere. A crisis, my midlife crisis, I suppose. At the age of 35, I think, 36. I don't know, I think it was a couple of years ago. And basically, I got swine flu, or my family did. I thought I was dying after being ill for 6 weeks. Worried sick for everyone. I had a massive anxiety attack out of nowhere. And it just really shocked me, really shocked me. And I felt like, you know, I felt like I was close to death, although I wasn't. I felt like it. And it gave me a wake-up call. And I just thought something's wrong in my life, you know, something I really need to address. And so for after a lot of, I won't go into all the details, but, you know, I decided that I would give more to society. And somehow I thought by doing that, I kind of knew that my anxiety issues would go. I just knew, and I just pushed ahead with it. And I threw myself into really a whole load of voluntary work, got involved in environmental issues, complete distraction from my own work. And, you know, I was constantly had this voice at the back of my head saying, oh, should I be doing this? You know, I really want to crack on with Medworm, but, you know, I just felt like I had to spend that time. So I spent about a year fighting the proposal to build an incinerator in my town. And it was just by chance I found out about it. And through that, of course, I built a website because I was the only one who could build websites. I just chucked it together and I became the communications person. So from going from having no communication with my local community, overnight I was just absolutely thrown in it as the community came alive and started to realise about this issue, and I was the centre of communication. So over that year I did a number of seminars, spoke in front of fairly large audiences. I was petrified, absolutely petrified. Something about not doing it for myself, just doing it for the community, and for my sanity, just made me push ahead and do with it, and just ignore, you know, all those fears, and just go ahead and do it. So it was an incredible year when I started to meet many different types of people, and I started to realise that all the people who were living around me were really interesting and had skills, and I started connecting these skills together, and we ran a really professional campaign, I'd say, and I started introducing people together, groups of engineers to come up with an alternative plan, all sorts of people. I was working with people in the media to get the messages out. Really exciting. I learnt a huge amount about it, but it was never what I wanted to do, because I have got a big social agenda as well with my own website. So after a year, I really handed the reins over to other people in the community, which I think is an important thing when you're doing a community project. It should never be dependent on yourself, and you should always be able to pass it over at some stage for other people to run with it. And then I thought, how about I use some of those skills that I have learnt and those things I've learnt in my own work and for the development community. And how about I see if I could use the community to help me move forward with my own project. So that's how it all really began. Right, I'm going to whiz through this. That's what everyone says. I've already spoken far too long. I thought that was just an introduction. Community, what is it? I've thought a lot about this. What is it that makes a community? And it's more than just a shared interest, I believe. You know, you can go to an art club week after week and do your thing, but is it a community? Might be, might not be. What is it that defines a community? And after pondering this for a while, I came to the conclusion that it's actually when you start to build something together, or, you know, try and work together for change, that you become a community. When you actually start a project together. That's my understanding. And I've looked at a number of what I believe are successful communities, and somehow they're trying to bring about a positive change. And when they do that, they forget their own self, you know. They put their ego in place and think about others. I think in a successful community, it requires people to grow in themselves, and you will start to love yourself more. I started to love myself more. But it's always balanced with a love of other people and an understanding of other people. So at the point when you are thinking, hey, do you know what, I'm better than these people, I'm just a better developer, I've got a better website, I've got a better business, you know, you need a reality check, and you need to start digging deeper into the people around you and finding out how fantastic they are to bring that into balance, or move on, you know, because you're never going to get it, you're never going to be part of that community. So it can happen with a community, you know, that you will have some people. It's an issue for us all, ego. But I think that is a bit of a guideline that, you know, we can, if we bear that in mind, it can help you and help keep yourself in check. Community doesn't just happen. You know, it's not by chance. Some people think sporadically, you know, by chance, the elements are just right and it just happens. I do think there has to be the right elements there, and I believe there are in the Southwest. But it does take a conscious decision, and it takes an effort to build a community, to nurture a community. And ideally, you know, the more people that take this decision, do you know what, I'm going to invest some time in this, the stronger the community becomes. So why bother? Why bother investing, giving up your time to, you know, we're all busy people, we've all got our businesses, you know, what's your reward going to be? And in a certain way, if you go into it with the thought, well, what am I going to get back with this? It defeats the object of community. But you do get stuff back, you get a huge amount back. I mean, my own business, since I've started working with people and finding out about them, I've got new business leads, new business contacts, you know, potential investor there. I know where the skills are in the community. As soon as I've got my investment, I know who I'm going to use. People come forward with ideas on what I should be doing on my site, technologies I should be using. And what I've learned in a month has just been incredible, incredible. Considering for 4 or 5 years I was working in my own little box, I was so scared of looking at what anybody else was doing in case it would be better than me that I didn't have a clue what people were doing. And, you know, in a month, I've just come so much more aware of what's out there. So there's major benefits. I'm going to pick on somebody now. Mark, where's Mark Glover? Hey, come here, let me embarrass you. Right, a little birdie told me that you didn't want to go to the first Digpen, yeah? And he said, what's the point, right? Is that right? Yeah, and like, you know, what's the point in sharing your ideas? You know, people are just going to pinch what you're doing, etc. Is that right? Go on, tell me what you thought, and did you go, and what happened afterwards? Put you on the spot.
Oh yeah, I thought, put a load of web developers in a room, we're all working in the same industry, technically we're each other's competitors. Surely if we all start talking and collaborating, everyone's going to end up pinching everyone else's work, everyone's clients. And actually that's not happened at all. What's happened in reality, certainly in my experience, is that I've started finding more work. I've started working with other developers on big projects they've had where either they've not had the right skills or they've not had the time to fulfill the work. And I'm now doing work for them, and hopefully soon I'll be able to recruit some of them to do excess work for me as my client list grows. And actually everything that's come out of collaboration has been better working strategies, learning new technologies, new ways of working, and finding new tools to work with. And my work routines and the way I work in the day is far, far, far better than it was 2 months ago when we first had the Digpen. And I've just completed a big project for Iteracy, who were at the last one, they're not here today, and they're a little 2-person company down in Cornwall. And they contacted me via the digital skills sheet after our last conference in Plymouth. And they said, we've got some work for you. If you're interested, we don't have time to do all this PHP development, and they gave me this project, and it's currently now completed to my satisfaction and to their satisfaction, and it's with the client for testing. And they've made money that they wouldn't be able to make otherwise because they didn't have time to do the work. I've had a big bit of project and experience that I wouldn't have had before, and everyone's a winner.
Thank you. Thanks. I think that deserves a clap from getting up there doing that impromptu. Yeah, I could actually call on a number of people because I've heard quite a number of stories actually since just one meeting. Do you know what? It was just 2 hours long, just 2 hours. It's incredible. And I just want to talk a little bit about what happened then. It was nothing special. Do you know, it was similar today. Well, it was nothing special, but it was special. We just got a bunch of developers in a room. Most of us had not met before. It was just 2 hours. It was way too short. You know, even today, you're going to go away and say it's too short. It's never long enough. We hardly had time to say hello. But we just shared this idea of collaboration, and it just sparked, I think, a little bit of something, you know, just came alive as a community. And since then, people have said, oh, yeah, you know, the first one, it was just awesome, it was so good. But honestly, nothing amazing happened. I think, really, it's part of what it starts, what happens afterwards, and you relate it back to that first event. And hopefully, you know, this event as well will spark some similar positive things. I know Paul over there has got a student placement, really, as a result of the Digpen community that's grown up. Heard, yeah, a few other stories. So it is worthwhile. But I think another thing that I've realised is important is you've got to have a vision for what it is you're doing, where you're going. Because the meeting up and making friends is all well and good. But it won't grow into anything bigger unless you have a vision. And Chris Prescott, I think, has he just gone out? I know he blogged about vision just recently. And it is really, I think it's an important thing. It's important that the vision doesn't come from any one person. It's important that it's not my vision. I've got some ideas. And you know what? I could tell you how the vision's shaping up for the Southwest. But actually, it isn't my vision. It's just ideas that people have told me. And a lot of the stuff I'm actually saying today has come about through chatting to people and sharing ideas. And we've developed ideas together. So as a community, we can come up with a vision for the Southwest. I'll tell you a few things that have been thrown about. I mean, one of the first things I threw about was, hey, you know, we could build our own version of Silicon Valley. And from then, you know, we had a bit of debate on, well, what is Silicon Valley? What's going on down here? How does it compare? We're different. I mean, I think we don't need to try and be like anyone else. We need to have our own personality. A community, like a plant, like a flower, you know, and it grows. And no one person can say what it's going to be. And no one person can, or, you know, no one can change that plant into another plant. You know, you can't take a rose and say, oh, I think I'm going to turn it into a foxglove, you know. You just got to let it grow, and you can prune it, you can nurture it, give it food, give it drink. It does need looking after. If you don't look after it, it dies. So, you know, with that in mind, we can grow a vision together of what we could be. And there's a few themes that seem to be coming out from what I've observed. It seems that in the Southwest, people really appreciate their independence. They appreciate being in control of themselves. There's a lot of freelancers down here. And I've been speaking to businesses as well as, you know, the freelancers. I hate the word freelancer. Someone can give me another one, I'll use that. But this idea of much more fluid kind of way of working. I was thinking for myself, I don't want loads of employees. I want a dynamic team, and I want to be able to group up with people that are interested in that project there and then and really want to work on it. Discuss that idea, and it's incredible how many companies are actually already doing that, you know, and they see that as a way forward, as a positive thing. But if companies are going to do that, I would encourage them to then consider and treat and invest in the community like they would in their own company. Because you can't just take the employees and use them and then, you know, forget about them. You have to invest in them. And that's what I'm doing, my little business. I'm investing in this community. And I will continue to do that, because this is where I want to build my development team. I know there's a number of companies here saying, oh, yeah, you know, we're looking for employees. Everyone's looking for employees. I suggest, you know, just consider what people want from the work. How can you work with the people